Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am NIK NIKAM. This is the NASDAQ QQQ March 11, 2021 update. The NASDAQ went up by 2.3%, while the S&P went up by 1.01% and the Dow edged 0.62%. So there was a broad market movement towards the upside, and that is exciting news. I hope you all made some money. You didn't make money? Let's look at here. And this is on a daily chart, 3 months interval. And as you can see, I always start off with February 2016 when the downtrend started. Just to recap, we had wave A, B, and C complete here. So that was the first limb of the correction. Yeah, I know when I say first limb of the correction always has A, B, C, and each one of them is divided into 3 or multiple parts. Here we have a retracement of that correction, and the question is this going to continue as an uptrend, or is this part of the continuation of the correction? Let me explain to you what I mean by that, because let me draw so we can draw some things here. Right now we had the A, B, and C. So this is the A wave of the mega trend. Now the question is this a completion of a correction? And usually the completion of a correction is A, B, C wave. If you go back to 2-year interval, let me show you what I mean. This was like A, B, C, that is B, and this is C. And here what we have seen is just part A of the correction. And the question is, are we going to be retracing this B that we saw back in September, October, and November, or is this going to be just taking off? That is anybody's guess. We can only predict immediate action, so let's get to immediate action. One of the things that I noticed was the volume was not really brisk compared to the previous 2 days. On what is this? March 5th, when the QQQ went up 4.4%, the volume was 80 million shares. And today, the volume was, like yesterday, the volume was 76 million shares when it dropped. And today, the volume was 53 million shares. On an upswing, if we had seen a much bigger volume, that would have been quite inspiring. But nonetheless, all the oscillators are going in the positive direction. See the stochastic, the green line has crossed over the slow stochastic, and it is on the uprise on a daily chart. Similarly, MACD, trying to cross over the MACD line. At the same time, you see these bars getting smaller and smaller, which means they may be poised to turn to the positive side. So even this one, the RSI is at 50.15. Time you want to get out of the market is when it reaches 70%. So these are all derivatives of the price, time, and volume actions. The Elliott wave simply looks at the total psychological behavior of the entire population who are investing in this particular ETF. The volume is reflected in the RSI. So we are looking at multiple parameters to see where it is headed on a broader scale, and how can we use this information on a short-term scale to see where we can enter and exit trades to make little profits each day, so that we have enough money to trade the next day. In order to do that, we have to go to a 60-minute chart and see how things look at that level and see where we stand. Okay, let me make some space and see where we are here. And on a 60-minute chart, things look a little different. That's why it is very, very important to look at these charts, the technical analysis at multiple time intervals. I wouldn't look at 5-minute intervals, unless you're trying to get in and out of the stock in like 5 to 10 minutes. And if you're trying to do that, these stocks may not be the right choice. If you look at a 30-minute or an hourly chart, you get a much better perspective of where the stock market is headed, and combining that with these other technical parameters like volume I talked about, then this stochastic on the Bollinger Bands and RSI, all of which gives us an indication as to, is this an overbought situation? Is this an oversold situation? Because we are trying to make an entry into the market when the stock is oversold. We're trying to get out of the market when the stock is overbought. I mean, between these 2 points, along with the Bollinger Bands and stochastic, and of course, we talked about the volume. Let me take the volume off because it will make more space for us. We don't need that one. We already know what the volume does. The good news is the price closed above multiple moving averages. Here's the 20-day moving average from the Bollinger Bands. Here's the 13-period moving average. It is above that. And here, this yellow line is the 50-day. Okay, this is 50-day moving average. So these are all indicating good news. It is at the top of the Bollinger Bands, and stochastic is trying to cross over, but we had to see. And every time it crossed over, as you can see, it dropped. Every time it crossed over, it dropped. Every time it crossed over, it dropped. So that's one thing we need to be aware of. We don't want to be too optimistic based on our perception that the stock market is going to go up. We have to listen to the trend. Trend is your only friend. Money is your only currency which you can trade. So let's not fight with the trend. If the trend is telling us, well, this is a point maybe you want to enter, this is where the money managers are going to be entering, the hedge fund managers and big banks and institutions. So let's ride along with them and make some money. That is why, even though we have seen a 2.3% increase in the price, I have to look at this from a technical point of view and see, is this a point? It's up to you. I'm just analyzing the price, volume, time chart. But there are indicators that tell us different things at different time intervals. As I said, it's all about moving averages, which is good. Next thing is, if we were to analyze this at an hourly interval chart and see where in the world are we as far as Elliott waves are concerned. And I talked to you about, let me see if I can draw this and then make it much more meaningful. And here we have C, it's closed here. And now the question is, if this is 1, 2, and 3, maybe it's not finished yet. So what is this telling us? It's not telling us it's going to go to the moon tomorrow. For sure, all these indicators are at overbought level on an hourly chart. If you look at the concept of Elliott waves, if wave 1 is, it was 4.4% or $12 on the QQQ, today we saw the rise was 7.16. So it may be just part of the third wave, or if this is ABC correction, this is the C wave. Actually, the C wave is supposed to be pretty brisk, and that's what we expect to see. Okay, if this is A of a bigger cycle, then what we're going to be seeing will be the ABC for an immediate purpose. At least we have a 3-wave formation here. I don't know what you call it. If you call it Elliott wave, is like playing Monday morning quarterback. After everything has gone, then we can go back and say, well, this was 1, this was 2. No, that was A, that was B, that was C. But they give us general direction after the things have transpired, but nonetheless, the technical indicators do tell us what is a reasonable point of entry and what is a reasonable point of exit, so we don't lose our jacket or a shirt. Keeping that in mind, what do we expect to see tomorrow? That's another big question. As I said, we had a very brisk movement in wave 1 for the sake of just discussion, and this was wave 2, and this is wave 3. It may continue and complete wave 3 or ABC. Then the question is, what's going to happen here? Since getting ready for the earnings season next month, you would expect their stocks to be pumped up in the 3 to 4 weeks coming into the earnings. And that's what happened. Let's go to like a 2-year chart here. And that's what happened here. We had A, B, C, A, B, C, and then it came down. We don't know if it's going to replicate that one. But we know in March we had a big drop, which went from 250 to 160. That was a pretty big drop. If we are trying to answer this big drop, and like Glenn Neely, who is an expert on Elliott waves, thinks this was a major drop in the long correction that has been going on, and this is part of the B of this wave. If that is B and this has to be C, that means we are not anywhere close to completing this wave. That is on a grand scale. But let's get back to our 60-minute chart here. Okay, this is where we are, and I told you about the volume, and I am telling you about all these indicators, which looks to be sort of in an overbought situation. I mean, you can still squeeze some, because you have to see like a second top in case of these oscillators, especially slow stochastic and also with RSI. If you see a second top, then that's more indicative. Or if you see a divergence, when the prices are going up, but the trend lines are going down, that's the divergence. If it's going up and this is going down, that's called divergence. If you see the divergence, that may be an indication that maybe it's ready to turn south. This is my quick overview of what is transpiring here. And as I said, until things are a little more clearly defined, we cannot be sure that this rally we are saying is going to continue to sustain, or it may continue to zigzag for next few weeks, and it could reach the upper limits of what we saw on February 16th. And once the earnings start coming in, most of the earnings surprises are built into the price, and earnings announcement is just an opportunity for the money managers and every smart investor to take some profits off the table, and that's when we could see a downtrend. That is like 4 to 6 weeks from now. So in the immediate period, I see all these indicators are up, so I would be a little bit cautious about making a new entry. I mean, you can always go to a smaller time frame. Let's go to 30 minutes and see what it says. Okay, 30 minutes, these are all up and looking downward. All right, let's go to 15 minutes. Okay, at 15-minute interval, it is coming down here. So you can, but this, I mean, the RSI is not down here. Let's go to 5 minutes. And all of these indicators are down here, and let's go to 5 days. I don't know if you want to trade this, and look at the narrow change for most of the afternoon today. I mean, that's something we need to take into account. Okay, I don't think you want to go down to 5-minute level, and here these indicators are down, and this hasn't reached the 30% range on the RSI, and this is down, but again, it can brace the bottom 20% for multiple periods before it takes off. So that's where it stands. This is the trend. That is the ultimate analysis of fundamental and technical data as reflected by the smart money, the money managers, hedge fund managers, and banks that have bet on this QQQ as we speak today. So let's go with the trend. What do you think? What do you expect to see in the next coming days? Thank you so much for watching, and we'll try to analyze this more from a technical point of view in terms of improving our ability to interpret these things than trying to say, okay, you got a buy signal here, okay, go put the order. Nobody's going to give you that advice, and you don't want the advice because you want to make your own research and make your own judgment. So if you make money, you say, hey, I made it. I made some money today. Yes, thank you. And please do subscribe to our channel. We'll talk